The skies were quiet before the storm began. On the outer edge of the galaxy, thousands of species gathered for the Galactic Unity Match, a peaceful project created by the union of civilized races. Their goal was to find perfect compatibility between species, to avoid future wars by building bonds of love and alliance. They called it the Matchmaker Program. But peace never comes so easily. The alien scientists had scanned over 10,000 species. Every scan, every match, every data result was carefully collected. Emotions, strength, intelligence, biology, even scent were measured by high-tech scanners. Nothing matched. Nothing even came close. The council grew frustrated. Billions of credits had been spent. Yet, not a single species registered as perfect for any other. Until a small shuttle from Earth arrived late to the council station. The human was not even expected. He came wearing a wrinkled uniform, holding a simple translator with no royal blood or genetic enhancements. His name was Jace Morrow. He was not a scientist or leader. He was just a volunteer from Earth, curious to understand alien culture. Nobody took him seriously. Not until the scanner beeped. Inside the scanning hall, a tall red-skinned alien girl named Velzara held the device. She had scanned thousands before. Most readings showed low connection rates. But when Jace stepped forward, the scanner glowed with golden light. A rare signal, never seen before, flashed across the screen. 100% match. Velzara's eyes widened behind her visor. Her breath caught. The entire room fell silent. The match wasn't just biological. The scan showed empathy, loyalty, adaptability, courage, and a strange warmth. Words in old alien code lit up the screen. Bonded core detected. It was impossible. That level of compatibility hadn't existed in recorded galactic history. Some called it a bug. Others whispered of prophecy. But Velzara stared at Jace like he was made of stardust. News of the scan spread like wildfire. The council demanded a second test. This time, the most advanced scanner was used. It was guarded by the highest-ranking minds of the galaxy. And, again, the result was the same. Human. Perfect match. As tension rose, other races began to panic. They couldn't accept that a simple Earth species, a young one, was considered the most desirable. Jealousy boiled. Pride shattered. And then someone fired a shot. A plasma bolt missed Jace by inches. Velzara grabbed him and pulled him behind the scan chamber wall. Alarms blared. Guards rushed in. But it was too late. Panic had started. In a matter of minutes, the matchmaker hall turned into a war zone. Someone didn't want the scan result to go public. Someone high in the council had planned this. Jace couldn't understand why everyone was fighting. He thought he was here to help, but now lasers were flying past his head. He stayed low while Velzara shielded him with her body. Her training kicked in. She fought like a machine. Not for duty, but to protect the one her scanner had called perfect. Something deep inside her had changed the moment the scan flashed. As they escaped into a dark corridor, the station lights flickered. Jace could hear shouting in alien languages. The peace mission had collapsed. And he, an ordinary human, was now the center of galactic chaos. He turned to Velzara and asked what was going on. Her reply was simple. "They're afraid of you," she said. He laughed nervously, thinking she was joking. But her face stayed serious. "You don't know what that scan means," she whispered. "You're not just perfect for me. You're perfect for many, too many. Enough to unite the galaxy or burn it to the ground." Velzara led Jace through the maintenance tunnels of the Galactic Council station. Her boots echoed quietly on the metal floor. She kept her scanning device raised in one hand and her pulse gun in the other. Jace followed her closely, his heart pounding. He had no weapon, no armor, and no idea why people wanted him dead. But Velzara moved like she had trained her whole life for this. Outside the tunnel, the station was still under lockdown. Warning lights flashed red. Alien soldiers were everywhere. Some wanted to protect the scan result. Others wanted to erase it. In the darkness of war, truth always became dangerous. Velzara knew this well. She was a former elite enforcer of House Thalrak, one of the ruling factions. Now she was being hunted by her own kind. Jace tried to stay calm, but he couldn't. Help asking questions. Why me? Why does that scanner think I'm perfect? He asked. Velzara didn't answer at first. She glanced over her shoulder, her sharp eyes scanning for enemies. Then she spoke, her voice low. The scanner doesn't lie. It searched the minds and hearts of 10,000 species. Yours matched what the old programs called ideal core harmony. That scares people. They stopped near a vent where light from the upper level spilled through. Velzara motioned for silence. Through the gap, they saw high-ranking council members arguing. Some demanded Jace be protected. Others claimed he was a threat to political balance. One large alien slammed his fist and said, "No species should control so many connections. The human must vanish." Jace looked at Velzara. Is that what they really believe? That I'm a threat just for existing? He asked. Velzara nodded. Yes, because if you're the perfect match, then all alliances could shift around. You could make peace where war exists, or destroy alliances that have stood for centuries. That kind of power doesn't sit well with ancient empires. Velzara moved again. They crawled through the vent and dropped into a lower level. This part of the station was empty and silent. Dust and shadows ruled here. It was once used for training cadets before the matchmaker program grew. Now it was forgotten. She activated a control panel and opened a small chamber door. Inside was a hidden room filled with old records, medical supplies, and weapons. She handed Jace a thin bodysuit and a plasma knife. You'll need these. They won't stop a bolt to the head, but they might buy you time, she said. Jace held the knife awkwardly. I've never used one of these before, he said. Velzara stared at him, then learned fast. Your life may depend on it. Jace asked why she was helping him. She could have left, could have let him be captured. But she didn't. Velzara hesitated. Then she reached into her armor and pulled out the scan result chip. This isn't just data. When the scanner connected us, it opened something in my neural field. A connection. I feel your emotions. You're not just a perfect match on paper. I feel it. I know it's real. He was speechless, but the silence didn't last. A tremor shook the floor. Velzara grabbed the wall to steady herself. She activated a surveillance drone and sent it upward. On the screen, they saw it. A strike force had entered the station, unmarked armor. Silent weapons, not council guards. These were hunters from the outer syndicates. Hired killers. Someone had paid them to remove the perfect human. Before the data reached the galaxies, Velzara cursed in her native tongue and turned to Jace. They're not here to arrest. They're here to erase you, she said. And anyone protecting you. Jace felt the cold truth sink in. He wasn't just a political problem. He was a target. And Velzara was now a traitor in the eyes of many. Still, she stood firm beside him. She reached out and touched his chest lightly. You're not just data to me now. You're a bond I didn't know I needed, she said. They had minutes before the strike team would reach them. Velzara activated a hidden escape route. It led through a maintenance shaft toward the surface docks. If they could reach a ship, maybe they had a chance. But Jace hesitated. What if I go back, let them take me? Maybe it'll stop all this. She shook her head sharply. It won't. You don't understand. You're not the weapon. The reaction to you is, if they erase you now, they'll erase the truth. And they'll use fear to control the results forever. Together, they slipped into the shaft. The light faded behind them. The future of the galaxy was now in the hands of a human with no training and an alien girl who had risked everything for him. But somewhere deep inside both of them, something new had awakened, something stronger than data, stronger than fear, and stronger than the rules written by the stars. The shaft was narrow and dark. Pipes rattled above them as energy flowed through the station's veins. Jace moved carefully behind Velzara, trying not to stumble. The only light came from her scanner, dim and pulsing blue. Neither of them spoke for a while. The silence wasn't awkward. It was heavy with fear, urgency, and the unspoken knowledge that every step forward could be their last. Velzara stopped at a hatch and placed her palm against it. The panel blinked red, then green. It slid open to reveal a side tunnel filled with old equipment crates. They stepped inside, closing the hatch behind them. Jace sat down on a crate, sweat dripping from his forehead. "Are we close?" he asked. Velzara nodded. "The surface docks are 2 levels above us. But they won't be unguarded." Jace looked at the plasma knife on his belt. "I'm not a soldier," he said. Velzara crouched in front of him and placed a hand on his knee. "You don't have to be," she said. "You just have to keep moving. That's all that matters right now." Suddenly, her scanner chirped. She raised it quickly. A thermal signature had just entered their level. Not 1, 3, fast-moving, precision trained. Velzara's body tensed. "They're here," she whispered. "Strike agents. They're tracking our heat trail." She pulled Jace to his feet and moved toward a back door. "We'll take the water line. It's risky, but they won't expect it," she said. They slid open another panel, revealing a maintenance tunnel with a flowing stream of recycled water. The floor was slick and cold. Velzara stepped in first, her boots making almost no sound. Jace followed, shivering as the cold hit him. As they moved, Jace asked, "What happens if we do escape? If we get to a ship?" Velzara kept her eyes ahead. "Then we bring the data to someone who can protect it. Someone who still believes in the purpose of the Matchmaker project. Maybe someone on Earth. Maybe the rogue archives on Tharnes Prime. We find truth, and we share it before they rewrite it." They reached a ladder. Velzara climbed first. When she reached the top, she scanned the room above. "Clear." She signaled to Jace, who climbed quickly behind her. The room was a forgotten control hub, filled with old consoles and dust. Velzara closed the hatch, then turned on one of the consoles. Static blinked across the screen. She bypassed security and pulled up a map of the docks. "There," she sighed, pointing to Dock 7. "There's an old courier ship. Small, fast. We can use it to jump to hyperspace. But we only get one shot. If they block the launch bay, we're finished." Jace nodded, wiping his face. "Let's go," he said. But before they moved, the screen flickered again. This time, a face appeared. Alien, scaled, eyes like frozen stone. The image was grainy, but Velzara recognized him. High Minister Zaytol, one of the hidden voices behind the council. He looked directly into the camera. "Surrender the human. You have no future if you continue this." Velzara shut off the screen without a word. Jace looked at her. "You know him?" he asked. She nodded. "He trained me. And now he's afraid of what I protect. That tells me everything I need to know." They moved again, sticking to the shadows. The corridors above were full of guards. Some searched. Some stood still, waiting. But no one looked at the old vent shaft on the edge of the wall. Velzara opened it and motioned for Jace to climb in. It was a tight crawl, but it led directly to Dock 7. Inside the dock, the courier ship sat alone. No fuel lines attached. No crew in sight. Jace and Velzara moved fast. She activated the ship's door with an override chip. The door slid open. Lights flickered inside. It was dusty, but functional. Jace stepped in and looked around. "Can you fly this?" he asked. Velzara smirked. "I've flown worse." She sat at the controls and began charging the core. Jace checked the back of the ship. There were no weapons, no defenses, just speed. That would have to be enough. Suddenly the scanner blinked red. A squad had entered the dock. 5 armed agents, no warning. No talk. Just execution orders. Velzara turned to Jace. "You trust me?" she asked. He nodded. "Yes," he said. She opened the bay doors. Wind roared in. The agents raised their weapons. Jace grabbed the edge of the ship. Velzara punched the launch code and grabbed the controls. The ship fired forward like a bullet through the launch tunnel. Bolts flew past them. One clipped the side. Alarms rang out. But the ship didn't stop. It broke atmosphere and roared into space, leaving the agents behind. Jace leaned back in his seat, breathing hard. Velzara kept her eyes on the stars. "We're not safe yet," she said. "But we're free. And now the galaxy has to face what it fears most. Not a human with a perfect match, but a truth that could not be erased." Asterisk, the stars stretched across the cockpit window like silent witnesses. Velzara kept her eyes on the navigation screen, her hands moving quickly over the controls. Jace sat beside her, quiet but alert. They were out of the station's range now, but not out of danger. A single scout drone could still track their signal if the Syndicate wanted them badly enough. The ship's systems were old, but Velzara knew how to squeeze speed from dying engines. She rerouted power and initiated a ghost pulse to scramble their trail. Jace watched her work, impressed by the calm focus in her movements. "How far are we going?" he asked. Velzara answered without looking up. "To the edge of Sector 19. There's a relay node. If we reach it, we can transmit the scan data before they shut us out." Jace leaned forward. "Why is this scan so powerful? I mean, it's just a match result, right?" Velzara finally turned to him. "No, it's not just a match. The original matchmaker code was built on ancient algorithms, based on something older than the Council. Harmony was only part of it. The scan identified your core pattern as a stabilizer, a connector. In theory, you could influence emotional bonds across species. Peace through instinct." Jace frowned. "That sounds like mind control," he said. Velzara shook her head. "No, not control. Influence. You give others the ability to trust. Not because you force it, but because your presence aligns with what they seek." He sat back in silence. The idea scared him more than the hunters did. What if he really was that kind of signal? What if he could change others just by being near them? Would that be a gift or a curse? Velzara noticed his face. "You didn't ask for this, I know. But we can't run from what you are. If they erase the data, they erase a future none of us understand yet." Suddenly, the ship shook. A sharp alarm rang through the cabin. Jace grabbed the seat. "What was that?" he asked. Velzara's eyes narrowed as she checked the screen. "Magstrike, they found us. One of their patrol mines must have tagged our trail. The right engine had lost power. Flames sparked from its base. Velzara initiated emergency procedures. I can't outrun them with one engine. We'll have to land. There's a moon nearby. Thin atmosphere. Cold surface. But it'll hide us until I repair the damage." Jace nodded. "Do it," he said. The ship turned sharply toward the ice moon. The descent was rough. The hull groaned as it hit the upper layers. Clouds of frozen dust covered the ship as it sank through thick gray clouds. Then the ground appeared. A sea of cracked ice and jagged stone. Velzara guided the ship toward a cliffside outcrop and landed hard. Smoke hissed from the damaged engine. The ship tilted but held. Jace unstrapped and followed Velzara to the rear hatch. As the door opened, cold wind slammed into them. It felt like knives on his skin. Velzara activated her suit's heater. Jace wrapped himself in a survival cloak and stepped out into the ice. They found shelter in a small cave nearby. The stone inside was dark but dry. Velzara started scanning for signs of movement. Nothing nearby. For now, they were alone. She placed a beacon jammer outside the cave and set up a small heater unit inside. The glow gave the cave a soft red light. Jace sat near the heater and looked at his shaking hands. I didn't want this. I thought I was just signing up to meet aliens, learn something new. Now the whole galaxy wants me deleted. Velzara sat beside him. You still have a choice. You could leave this to me. I can deliver the scan. You could disappear. Start fresh somewhere in a colony. No one would find you. Jace looked at her. Is that what you want? He asked. Velzara didn't answer. Right away, then she spoke quietly. I want you alive. But I also want the truth free. What I feel when I look at you, what the scan confirmed, it's more than chemistry. It's purpose. They sat in silence for a while. Then Jace asked, what were you before all this? Velzara smiled faintly. I was trained as an enforcer. Cold, focused, obedient, until the scan. Now everything I was has changed. The heater beeped, warning of low power. Velzara stood up and checked her scanner. I'll start on the engine repair. We'll need power if we're flying out by dawn. Rest while you can. Jace watched her walk toward the ship. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But one thing had become clear to him. The bond between them wasn't just data. It was real. And if the galaxy feared it, then maybe it was exactly what the galaxy needed. Velzara's hands were numb as she repaired the engine core. Cold metal fought against her every movement, and the freezing air bit through her armor joints. Sparks hissed with each connection she reattached. Her scanner warned that atmospheric drones were approaching within 6 planetary rotations. It wasn't much time. If they stayed longer, they would be trapped inside the ship. Jace sat near the small heater, reading the encrypted scan data on a portable pad. He didn't understand most of it, but a few translated lines kept repeating. Core pattern detected. Emotional link confirmed. Stabilizer identified. Cross-species harmony projected. The words echoed in his head. It wasn't just science. It was destiny marked by code. He tapped the console and brought up a file marked Locked, Codebreaker Access Only. A prompt asked for neural sync. Without thinking, Jace placed his palm on the pad. A soft light passed through his skin. The lock blinked green. Access granted. The file opened, and Jace's eyes widened. Inside was a hidden layer of the matchmaker program. It wasn't just about pairing two individuals. It had a deeper level, a forgotten purpose. The scan wasn't designed to create lovers. It was designed to awaken dormant traits that only triggered in the presence of rare emotional alignments. Humans had been tested before, but none triggered the response. Until now, the program was created during the Galactic Cold Cycle, a time of chaos when wars broke planets and alliances crumbled. The original creators designed a system to identify core unifiers, beings whose mental and emotional patterns could stabilize interspecies harmony by instinct. Not by force, not by control, but by presence. Jace looked at his own image in the data. His brainwave signature was glowing, stable, and pulsing in rhythm with a second scan Velzara's. The sync was nearly perfect. The moment she had scanned him, the system had recognized them both as compatible unifiers. That wasn't just rare. It was unheard of. Velzara returned, her cheeks red from the cold. Engines are stable, she said. We'll be ready to fly before the next rotation. Jace didn't respond at first. He turned the pad toward her. Look at this. There's a locked file. I opened it. It says we're not just a match. We're unifiers. Do you know what that means? She stared at the screen, her expression unreadable. Then she slowly sat down beside him. "I've heard the term," she said. "Legends, stories told in training. They said unifiers were myths, tools created by ancient builders to stop destruction. But the Council dismissed it as programming error. They buried the theory because it was too dangerous." Jace looked at her. "Why dangerous?" Velzara took a slow breath. "Because unifiers could influence leaders, warriors, even enemies. Not by orders, but by emotional resonance. Entire armies could follow someone like that without knowing why. It scares those in power, because control would shift to the one who doesn't want it." Jace stood up, pacing now. "So the scan exposed something they were hiding. That's why they're hunting us, not just to erase data, to erase the past. And the future," Velzara nodded, "and now we carry that future. Whether we want to or not." The pad blinked. With a signal warning, a ship had entered the moon's orbit. Cloaked, no transponder, Velzara didn't hesitate. She stood up and grabbed her rifle. "We launch now. We don't wait for the second engine to warm. If we stay, we die. If we fly, we have a chance." Jace helped gather the supplies and powered down the heater. As they stepped outside, the wind had worsened. Ice whipped across the rocks like blades. They pushed through it toward the ship. Inside, Velzara sealed the hatch and took the pilot's seat. Jace sat beside her and buckled in. "Where now?" he asked. Velzara locked her eyes on the stars. "To the archive moon, hidden in the drift fields of Sector 19. No Council control. No syndicate. Spies. The last place where ancient data is still protected. If we upload the full scan there, the truth will survive." She lifted the ship from the ice. The engine screamed but held. The landing gear retracted as they soared upward. From the horizon, a black ship emerged, sleek and armed. No warnings. No broadcasts. Just death. Velzara spun the ship and fired a burst of flares. The black ship followed, but not fast enough. They slipped into the lower orbit and prepared for a jump. Jace held the data pad tightly. "Will the archives believe us?" he asked. Velzara smiled faintly. "They won't have to. The scan speaks for itself." With coordinates locked, the ship vanished into hyperspace, carrying two beings whose bond threatened the galaxy's oldest powers. Not because they sought control, but because they proved peace could come from something purer than fear. The ship exited hyperspace into a dead zone. No stars were visible, only floating debris and drifting mineral clouds. The archive moon appeared as a gray sphere hidden within the shadows of forgotten satellites. Its surface was cracked and covered with ancient towers. It didn't look like a place that held secrets. But Velzara knew better. "This is where forbidden data sleeps," she said, guiding the ship toward a docking ring. "If the scan survives anywhere, it survives here. This place is protected by silence. No Council reach, no syndicate patrols. Just watchers who remember what the galaxy has tried to forget." Jace stared at the broken towers. "Do they know we're coming?" he asked. Velzara nodded. "They knew the moment we entered the system. They see through every pulse, every whisper. We're not visitors here. We're judged." The ship latched onto a docking port with a heavy thud. As the pressure doors unlocked, a soft mist entered the airlock. Velzara handed Jace a breather mask. "Just in case," she said. "This moon hasn't been friendly to outsiders for centuries." They stepped into the corridor. It was dimly lit, with shifting lights that seemed to follow them. No guards, no voices. Only sensors embedded in the walls. The floor hummed with power beneath their feet. Jace stayed close to Velzara as they walked deeper into the structure. At the heart of the archive stood a single chamber. Massive and round, with glowing pillars rising to the ceiling. In the center, a platform pulsed with blue energy. Velzara approached and placed the datapad onto the console. The moment she did, The room responded. A soft voice echoed from the walls. Ancient, calm, not male or female. Scan identified. Core harmony detected. Access granted. Unifier pair confirmed. Awaiting data input. Velzara looked at Jace. This is it. Once we upload, it spreads to all hidden archive nodes. The truth will be stored beyond deletion. It cannot be undone. Jace hesitated. He felt the weight of 1,000 civilizations resting on his next move. But then he remembered the flames, the hunters, the scan, the bond. He pressed his hand to the console. Upload it. The room lit up. Symbols raced across the walls. The scan data flowed into the platform, and a holographic projection rose between them. It showed Velzara's scan, then Jace's, then a burst of light where the two merged. The system processed the results and displayed a message in dozens of languages. Unifier core confirmed. Potential stabilization detected. Cross-species resonance achieved. Probability of galactic harmony, 62% and rising. A door opened behind them. 3 figures stepped forward. Their forms were draped in white and gold, faces hidden behind smooth visors. One of them spoke. We have waited for this moment. The last confirmed unifier was buried before the stars knew war. And now 2 stand. Before us, Velzara stood firm. We need protection. The Council wants this erased. The syndicates want it buried. But you can preserve it. The figures nodded. It is preserved. But it is not enough to store the truth. It must be believed. Will you carry it beyond this moon? Will you become its voice? Jace stepped forward. I didn't choose this, but I won't run from it. If this bond can change something, I'll stand for it. One of the figures reached out and handed him a sphere. It glowed softly. This is a seed node. It will activate the truth wherever it is placed. On planets, on ships, in mines, it cannot be destroyed. But it must be carried with will. Velzara accepted the second sphere. We'll carry it together, she said. The archive dimmed again. The figures vanished into light. The chamber closed behind them. Silence returned. But the data had spread. All across the hidden network, nodes lit up in deep space, transmitting the signal of the first perfect bond in thousands of years. Back on the ship, Jace placed the seed node into a containment field. Velzara prepared the next jump. Where? To now? He asked. Anywhere the truth needs to be heard, she replied. As they lifted from the archive moon, they didn't know how many enemies would come. They didn't know how many worlds would resist. But they knew one thing. They were no longer fugitives. They were messengers of something the galaxy had tried to forget. Something stronger than control. Something no empire could fake. A bond built not from power, but from perfect understanding. The stars ahead shimmered as the ship dropped out of hyperspace. Velzara gripped the controls as her eyes scanned the system. Dozens of ships hovered near a bright gas giant, their markings flashing with different house symbols. Some belonged to old empires. Others were syndicate-linked. All of them blocked the path forward. Jace looked at the screen. They're already waiting. How did they know? He asked. Velzara tightened her jaw. The signal from the archive was fast. Faster than I expected. These ships aren't here to talk. They're here to end what we started. A warning. Ping sounded. A direct message was incoming. Velzara opened the channel. A deep voice filled the cockpit. This is High Commander Ralvik of the Council Armada. You are carrying data marked as destabilizing. Turn over the seed node and your lives will be spared. Jace looked at Velzara. They're not bluffing. Are they? She shook her head. No, but they're also afraid. Afraid that 2 people could undo what 1,000 guns protect. The message repeated. This time shorter. Final. Velzara turned off the comms. If we run, they'll chase. US forever. If we give in, the truth dies in shadow. But if we speak now, across open frequencies, the people will hear us before they can fire. Jace nodded and moved to the broadcast console. He placed the seed node into the interface. A soft pulse lit up the ship's comm array. He cleared his throat and pressed the global transmit button. The signal shot across every nearby ship, every console, every fleet channel. This is Jace Morrow of Earth. I didn't ask to be chosen. But your own machines scanned me. Your own code called me perfect, not because I'm better, but because I matched with her. With Velzara. With someone not of my kind. The system didn't lie. It showed us that fear isn't the only path. That some of us were meant to bridge the gap. Velzara stood beside him. Her voice joined his. I was born a weapon. Raised to follow orders, to eliminate threats. But the moment I scanned him, I felt something awaken. Not control. Not weakness, balance. And that balance is what the Council fears most. Jace continued. We uploaded the truth to the archives. It's already spreading. The seed node carries the code. It cannot be destroyed. And anyone who scans it will see what we are. Two lives that were never supposed to meet. But when they did, something ancient remembered its purpose. The message ended. Silence followed. Then alarms began to sound. The ships were charging weapons. Velzara returned to the controls. They've made their choice, she said. Now we make ours. Suddenly, a new signal appeared. It came from behind the Armada. A fleet of old model ships, outdated, rusted, but real. Their flags showed planets not seen in the Council in years. Fringe worlds, broken colonies, refuge fleets. And they were answering the call. The lead ship opened comms. A cracked voice spoke. We received the archive ping. The scan is real. We stand with the truth. Let them fire. We will not move. Dozens of smaller ships broke formation and floated in front of Jace's vessel. Living shields. Some didn't even have weapons. Just transport haulers. But they still placed themselves in harm's way. Velzara stared at the screen. They're protecting us, she said. Jace's voice was calm. Because they believe. Because now they know. The Council Armada hesitated. Firepower was on their side. But something had shifted. Their crews were listening. Officers questioned the orders. Some ships didn't charge weapons at all. A quiet fracture formed inside the Council's ranks. Another message came, from High Commander Ralvek again. His voice sounded different, slower. You speak of balance, of unity. But what if you are wrong? What if your bond is a spark that lights the wrong flame? Jace replied without blinking. Then let the people decide. Not guns, not silence, but choice. Give them the scan. Let them feel what we felt. Ralvek ended the channel. No attack came, no ships moved. The Armada began to drift. One by one, their engines turned away. The blockade scattered like fog before the sun. Velzara sighed. We're not safe. But we're not alone anymore. Jace reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. We've started something we can't control, he said. Good, she replied. Because it means it finally belongs to everyone. Asterisk the stars stretched wide before them. No longer hostile but filled with quiet watchers. Velzara and Jace sat together in the ship's control cabin, floating between the silence of what had been and the awakening of something new. The seed node pulsed softly near the broadcast relay, humming like a heart that had just begun to beat. They had not expected peace. They had expected fire. But instead, the truth had been heard. Not by everyone. Not by the powerful, but by enough. Enough to slow the war. Enough to shake doubt into those who had only known control. Velzara looked at the stream of messages pouring into the ship's long-range comm. They're asking for more, she said. Small planets, hidden colonies, forgotten research. Stations, they want to see the scan. They want to feel what we felt. Jace stared at the seed node. "We can't go to them all," he said. "But maybe we don't have to. Maybe if we teach them how to find it, they'll carry it themselves." Velzara opened the navigation charts. "The archive gave us more than a node," she said. "It gave us a signal, a blueprint. With it, anyone can scan for resonance. They just need guidance, a voice to show them how." Jace smiled. "Then let's give them one," they modified. The ships comes and rewired the long-range amplifier. With the help of the archive's decryption key, they created a compressed transmission package. Inside was the full scan, the connection data, the harmony pattern, and a new activation program. It was designed to be shared freely, open access. No security, no restrictions. The broadcast began. They called it the Harmony Signal. It flowed from their ship in all directions, across systems, through abandoned satellites, into drifting vessels still listening for meaning. In every place it landed, it offered a simple message. You are not alone. You were never meant to be. If you find resonance, you have found hope. Match it. Share it. Protect it. It belongs to no one. But it can connect us all. Velzara watched the data flow. We're not fugitives anymore, she said. We're the first voice of something old becoming new. Jace leaned back and looked out the window. Do you think they'll understand what we are? He asked. She looked at him softly. Some will fear it. Some will mock it. Some will fight it, but others will feel it. And once they do, they'll never unfeel it again. Suddenly, the proximity alarm sounded. A small ship approached their flank. It carried no weapons. Its markings were faded. A single transmission came through. Velzara opened it. A young alien girl's voice filled the cabin. I scanned a human boy. The signal matched. It wasn't perfect, but it felt right. Is that enough? Jace answered without delay. Yes, that's what harmony is. Not perfection, but alignment. You felt it. That's real. Dozens more messages followed. A Turok scholar in orbit above a mining moon. A human mechanic living among reptilian traders. A twin mind species that never knew bonding until one dared to try. All of them had scanned. All of them had found something they never thought possible. Velzara sat back, her voice softer now. We're not special anymore, she said. Jace smiled. Good. That was never the point. They continued transmitting as the stars rolled by. The ship carried them forward, but their message carried faster. It leapt from station to station, from fleet to fleet, from language to language. And with each connection, something ancient and beautiful stirred awake. Back on the council homeworld, leaders argued in silence. They could not erase what had been seen. Too many had witnessed the bond. Too many had heard the voice. And many among their own had started to question the rules written in stone. In hidden syndicate rooms, plans to intercept the signal collapsed. For every node they jammed, 3 more awoke. For every voice they silenced, 5 more rose. It was no longer a human problem. It was no longer an alien one. It had become something shared. Jace and Velzara stood at the edge of their cabin. The galaxy was still vast, still dangerous, still divided in many ways. But now it had a thread woven through it, a thread of connection, of chosen unity. Not forced, not programmed. Felt. Velzara turned to him. Do you regret it? She asked. He took her hand gently. No, because it mattered. And because it changed me. She nodded, pressing her forehead to his. It changed me too. And maybe that's all the galaxy needs to begin. Together, they watched the stars as more ships lit up on their display, each one a spark, each one a signal, each one a quiet echo of the bond that had started it all, a bond not made by empire, not forged by power, but discovered in one scan between 2 strangers from distant worlds.